Hello! Just before we get talking about Grimlock here, I just want to say this video is going to come in two parts. The first half is just, the proper objective review if you're only interested in looking at this, because I can understand if you're not here to listen to what I really think, because it's a new movie toy and it's exciting and you want to see what this is like because it's new. But if you do want to stick around, listen to some more opinionated guff, which might not be that great, then please stick around to the end, but I can totally understand if you want to stop halfway through. Let's go!
Here's Grimlock. He's a bronze T-Rex. Doesn't he look cool? He's alright in this mode, I think. He's got little T-Rex arms and big T-Rex legs and tail, and he's got all these teeth painted and his eyes. Decent amount of paint. I think he looks good. He's all scaly and jaggedy and robot-y, and it looks like he's got massive engines stuck on the sides of his legs. Cool! It's a bit sad though because nothing moves. His legs don't move, his arms don't move, he can't even close his mouth. He's just a completely static dinosaur. Kinda rubbish. But then of course, the entire sort of reason for this figure to be like he is the way he transforms. Oh, it's all in one step. Oh, gotta watch closely. Look, he's a robot. Whoa! You just pull on his T-Rex legs and eventually he turns into a robot. Whoa! Push the sides back in and he turns into a dinosaur again. Whoa! But what's Grimlock like as a robot? He's big and wide and he's mostly torso. His arms move, but that's it. If you push on these bits near his hips, you can make his toes wiggle. Whoa! He's got a really detailed face and his eyes are painted and that looks cool. All around he hasn't really got any dinosaur junk hanging off anywhere. The tail folds up flat to his back. He's supposed to have these big shoulders that have teeth in them, but of course those are the sides of his dinosaur mode. He's meant to have claws hanging off his arms, and overall his legs sort of look like legs. It's Grimlock! He's cool! If you're wondering how big he is, he's roughly the same size as an old Cyberverse Commander. A little bit bigger, a little bit wider, but around the same sort of general size. So that's Grimlock. He doesn't come with any instructions because everything you need to know is on his box. It is just one step to change. I like the see-through bit on the box. Certainly if you want a little style Grimlock like this, just for your desk or just a little simple toy, then he's okay. He's alright for that. He does what he needs to do in that regard. And that's cool, right? Whoa! Okay, you've seen what Grimlock's like now. I can go into a bit more depth as to real opinions about him because, yeah, as a sort of older collector, I don't really like any of these sort of simplified figures myself. I mean, I picked this guy up thinking, oh, he'll be a good little Grimlock to have on my desk because we're not going to get a Cyberverse one. He's a sort of stand-in for that, and I was sort of overcome just by the hype of finally seeing all this new Age of Extinction stuff. And really, once I'd had him out for like 5 minutes, I was just bored. I mean, okay, it might capture the attention and it might capture the imagination of younger kids, certainly, but for anyone that's really older than like 6, I don't think it's really going to hold their attention. When all the figure does is do that, all he does is transform, really, that is it, that's all he's made to do. It just kind of feels like 10 quid is far too much money for this guy. I mean, yeah, so he's the same size as a Cyberverse Commander figure, and if you take the sort of logical step up for the price of these, because everything now is a bit more expensive, then yeah, they would cost $9.99 now. But that's still no excuse because this thing is simpler than one of those. I mean, when his dino mode doesn't move at all, I mean, even his jaw, they could have just, I mean, I know these make his feet, but they could have done something to just do that at least, so he can shut his mouth. I mean, yeah, I wasn't expecting his little tiny arms here to move, but some form of articulation is just sort of necessary, otherwise you're just sort of reduced to having plop along like that. I have to say, the dino mode is something that I do like. It does look good, it does do what it needs to do, it's got loads of detail, and yeah, he's got sort of teeth on his flanks there where they shouldn't be, but all in all, it's a decent little dinosaur, and it's pretty much the sort of style of thing we would have got if we got a Cyberverse Grimlock, so I'm fine with this mode. Even though he's got some weird rivet on the top of his head that's only on that side. I've got no idea why that's there. But then transforming him, it's a bit laboured. You know, for a one-step easy change guy, this motion should not feel as laboured as my granddad getting out of his armchair. That's exactly what it feels like. It's like groaning sort of motion, and it's not quick, it's not instant, and it requires a little bit of force at the end, which I would imagine really young kids might not be able to muster. And then if you're putting it back into dyno mode, you've got to make sure everything's lined up, because it won't do it by itself. It's not entirely automatic. I mean, only going that way it sort of is. And the robot mode, I mean, yeah, while I can still say that it is almost the sort of thing that we would have got from a Cyberverse one, it still doesn't compare. I mean, look at his legs. They're not legs, they're just the top of a dinosaur. There's no real detail that says these are his legs at all, apart from sort of these spikes up here, which are those supposed to be his knees? They're quite far up. And he's got his spiky night shoes on down there. But apart from that, it's just, yeah, the top end of a dinosaur. And yeah, his torso is really wide, but I mean, I suppose it's supposed to be, he's meant to be big and beefy and strong looking, but it just looks like, I mean, these bits, the silvery sort of fangs he has on his chest hanging there all the time, they're surely meant to be a bit closer together, and it all looks a bit oddly done, to be honest. And then the fact that his arms only move that way. For a figure that I paid the same amount of money that I would have done for a deluxe when the first movie came out, that's appalling, to be perfectly honest. That is so bad. I mean, of course, there's inflation to think about, and all these different things that put the prices of things up since deluxes did cost 10 quid. But, oh dear, oh dear. Really going to find it hard to justify getting any more of these if I suddenly have the fancy to, because they're okay. There's a little bit of fun. They're fine. If this was a 5 or 6 quid toy, it'd be perfectly fine. But 10 quid, no, you're just asking way too much there. That's right. This kind of thing should be an easy sort of pocket money toy. You know, a kid shouldn't have to save up for it. I mean, I don't know how much pocket money kids get given these days. I was never given a tenner a week, so I don't know. It feels wrong. This should be the sort of bot that you can throw one small note at, and that's it. You shouldn't have to save 2 of those notes and then go and get it, hoping it will be something better than it is, when it's just a bit of a throwaway sort of thing. I mean, yes, we are going to get loads of different toys of Grimlock, that's pretty much a given. But when most of those are going to cost more than 20 quid, it just feels like this should do a little bit of a better job at being the cheapest one. I mean, obviously it is the cheapest one, it is pretty cheap, but I don't know, it doesn't feel like it fills out that price quota. There isn't £10 worth of robot here. So as an older fan, while I'd like to sort of say that I'm heavily laden with buyer's regret with this, I'm not really. It's not that bad. But I think you've really got to feel like you're rolling in it to really justify throwing 10 quid at one of these on a regular basis. I mean, I want to get that Drift one, but now I've had this, and to be honest, I don't really know why I got Grimlock over Drift, because Drift is the only one of these one-step ones I actually wanted. I just feel like now I don't really want to go and spend any money on him, because I don't want to repeat this experience. For a quick and easy fun toy for younger kids, it's perfectly fine. Yeah, I'd still say it's a bit too expensive even for that, but there we go. I don't know, maybe that's the nature of things these days. It's the One Step Grimlock. He's kind of bad, but I can regain some sort of enjoyment through him because he's all shiny and you can make his toes wiggle. I guess as a sort of overall summarising statement, he's okay. There are certainly some bits of this figure which are decent, which are good, which do sort of come from years of Cyberverse scale sort of figures and them being able to do little bots nicely, but at the same time it's just reduced to this really simple, really obviously cheap to produce standard, and it just makes me think it's not good enough. It just isn't. I bought this to be able to get a bit of a quick fix of finally getting some Age of Extinction stuff, and that's all it is. It's a quick fix. It gives you like 5 minutes of enjoyment and then that's it. You're going to sort of put it somewhere and think, well, where on earth does this fit in my collection? So there's One Step Grimlock. I don't imagine that many people are going to like what they see, but if you do, heed my words and wait till he's reduced, because you don't want to throw 10 quid at this. You can be sure this isn't a knockoff, no matter how bad it might actually be.